Hello, I'm Mark Gallant. This new tutorial is about using the new email postal chess web application. I'll be sharing with you the methods and functions of the app so that you can play chess with others by email. Why email postal chess? Well, a bit of history first. I used to play chess in the U.S. Chess Federation postal chess section many years ago, and I loved it. I not only enjoyed the games, although as I remember I lost most of them. I'm not a very skillful player, but I did enjoy meeting the opponent and developed several friendships as pen pals do. In those days, we used a special postcard that held the boards and recorded the moves as well as some open space for messages. We had to keep track of the game moves and reset the chessboards each game that we were playing at the time. The cheap little mobile chess games came in very handy at that time. And then we used special book album kind of things that held 6 cardboard game boards with slots on each square to hold small cardboard discs with the graphics for each piece. Well, today everybody is email, and I couldn't find an email postal chess thing on the web that did what I wanted it to do, so I created my own app. The whole effort was driven by the stay-at-home, stay-well policies during the Corona-19 time, and as something to do. And I also thought it might help others who are being contained at home. But why should you be interested in postal chess sections at all? Just because it's a fun way to play chess with any and everybody of a wide variety of skill sets. And don't let that intimidate you. You will learn from better players, and you will help less skilled players grow. And unlike the UFCF, this is purely for fun. It's no ratings, no scores, just for the game of it. This application keeps track of all of the moves, the game boards for you, and displays them on the screen for the opponent you are playing at the time. So let's get to the how-tos of it. You can see here that there are some pretty usual data fields needed to sign up. One of the things I'm adamant about in my applications is I do not like to use the email as the primary user ID. Some people change that as often as others change their socks. Create your own user ID. It will be checked for both being required and for uniqueness within the application. First name, last name, and email are required. This application will only use your email here to send systems-related messages to you and your moves to your opponents. This system uses one of my email addresses and will not share yours with anyone. If you wish to share your email with your opponent, you may do so via the message section of a move that I'll show you later. A password is also required, as expected, and I'm not imposing any restrictions on the password. You should make it complex enough to add to the security. I'm sure you've done that before with other apps. The rest is nice to have information, handy for me as the administrator to get in touch with you other than by email if need be, but it's not required to play. I'm going to create 2 new fictitious players to demonstrate this feature and how to get started playing postal chess. I'll set up Goofy first and then Mickey. I'm going to blur out the email addresses for obvious security reasons. Okay, over to the other computer to set up Mickey. I'm back now with Goofy's account, and once the submit button is clicked, it goes to the existing player sign-in page, and I'll sign Goofy in. So once you are an existing player and signed in, the page will change to either the player page or the draw board page, depending on if you have active sections in games. Here we are at the player page. This page will allow changes in all of the user profile fields and the password changes. The not so obvious part of this page is the retrieve player data. I recommend you click this before changing anything for two reasons. One, it's a good reference for your memory. And two, as of the 04/14/20 version of this application, it will replace all of the data. And if it's blank here, it'll be blank after the change. So please note that any change will cause the player account to suspend until verified by responding to the system-generated email. The player is locked out until the status is reset by the admin. That's me. The process is pretty common to any other web application you may have experience with. I'll not demonstrate that now. What I do want to show you is how to create a new postal section. I'll create a new section with only 2 players. By the way, it takes a player to create a section, and that player is immediately enrolled as player 1 for that section. The section becomes open, and any other player can now join. Okay, here we go. We'll join Mickey on the boards page after he has already signed up for the section on the player page. This is the boards page, the heartbeat of the whole application. Here is where we play the games. Until the section and opponent to play have been selected, the chessboards will show as empty. Notice that there is a list of open sections that is presented. In the examples here, for this tutorial, we only have one section that is available to join. So enter the section ID number in the text box and click Submit button. And now the list of opponents for that section populates. Well, again, for our example, only one opponent is visible. The page will refresh and the game boards will be populated with pieces. So let's start playing. Game A displays your game with this opponent, with you as white, and Game B is your game with this opponent as black. Notice that there are also board ID numbers. That is the eternal number generated by the system when the games are created. The only importance to you is in case you need to correspond with the admin to solve an issue like a wrong move, an illegal or impossible move, or just an oops. Taking a good look at Game A, we see the board is set up from the white player's perspective, evident not only by the text but by the columns and rows. Now is a good time to take a look at how the algebraic chess notation works in this application. I'll follow the link to that page. I really recommend you review this page before you start to play. It explains the algebraic notation and how the application interprets the moves, especially the specialty moves like castling, pawn promotion, or en passant moves. One main point on this page that needs to be vocalized here: this application does not validate the legitimacy or possibility of any move. It just does what it's told. You need to know and play by the rules of chess. If you need those rules, they are readily available on the net. Hitting the back button on your browser should bring you back to the boards. Since both of these boards are brand new, Game A should offer you the move as white, and Game B should be waiting for white. That should make sense, since the opponent will see the same thing. After you've entered a move on the move section for the Game A, you will be waiting for black. So when you're both waiting for black and waiting for white, you have nothing more to do on this page, and you may sign out if you wish, or if you have other open sections in games or opponents, go on to them. Normally, players will make their move and then wait for the next email from the application that the opponent has moved, and then they log back on and start to make their moves. I have a couple of developer tricks here that I can do that a little bit faster for testing and demonstration. As you watch, I will bounce between the computers and players, and you should get a clearer understanding of the algebraic notation in action. After about 3 moves in, I'll jump to one of the emails that the app generates for a player. The next move by black in this game is a castle to the king's side. Those are O's, not zeros. Here's the email sent to the person that made the move. And now, here's the email sent to the opponent. You may notice I've used all lowercase. The application forces the entries to lowercase anyway, so it's not that important, but I recommend just using lowercase anyway to be sure the programmer didn't forget to do so in one of the methods. It's a good time to remind everyone that the application does not validate. It will do the castle if there are pieces in the way or not, cross an attack square with abandon. It is up to the player to know and check on those factors. At this point, I'm going to make some illegal moves to show how impassant works in this system. As you should know, impassant is a special move that allows a pawn to capture a passing pawn that makes its optional 2 squares move on its first move. And at that time, it is open to be captured in the square that it was passed. On the opponent's immediate next move, a pawn can capture at the square that the passing pawn skipped over. Now, like I said, I'm going to be doing this not necessarily lawfully, but for demonstration. And I want you to notice that the way we do this is the capturing move uses a parent E parent, the E for impassant. This next illegal move I'm going to do is a promotion. Normally a pawn, when it reaches the far side, can be promoted to some piece other than king. But the application is just a record keeper and will allow any move you make. So I'm going to go ahead and move a pawn and then promote it. Again, the parents are used after the move with the letter Q, R, B, or N, and I'm sure you got the drift of that. There will be times in a game that it needs to end in a draw. And the way to do it is at first the white player has to make the draw, just using a D for the move. The black will then follow that with his move on the same move number for the game, with it a D as well, so that the record would show whatever game number D. That makes the draw. Okay, so now we only have one game still active. And although I won't show it here, when the player puts the opponents in check, there is no annotation for it in the move entry. It is not a requirement to announce check. It is a courtesy. Please do so in the move message box. As for checkmate, The mated player is the one to enter the move M on their turn to acknowledge the mate, and that will end the game. And that leaves one more special move to end this demonstration. Either player in a game may concede at any time by using the letter C for their move. Okay, both games are now ended. There were only 2 games in the section. The board should be empty. The section is no longer available as a choice to play. Well, that's it. Sign up, join a section or 2, and enjoy playing chess. And thanks for watching.